What's up, everyone, and happy Tuesday. We're starting to see some major fireworks go off for the after-hours price action this week, as we had three major companies report earnings after the bell today. We're talking Microsoft, Alphabet, and AMD. These are some huge companies, and like I said, we're starting to see some pretty crazy movement already. In this video, we're going to cover what happened with these earnings reports, some great setups going into tomorrow, and tomorrow will be especially exciting because not only do we have all this crazy earnings action, but we have the man, the myth, the legend, Jerome Powell coming back with another FOMC interest rate decision. So we have a lot to cover. You better stick with us all the way to the end, and let's get right into it, Tom.
Yeah, the market today tried to run up, and it actually broke above yesterday's high very slightly end of day and midday, but it kept rejecting right at this resistance, right around 491.40 to 491.50. And then, Mike, oh boy, in after hours here, all three of these big tech stocks are honestly either doing nothing or they are down. AMD, down in after hours. We go look at Microsoft, all over the place, moving slightly lower. Google is down quite a bit. They are down to 145 right now. They were actually down to 144, 143 around lows, but they closed today above 150. So they're dropping off a cliff, Mike, and there's been a lot of earnings tonight. So we have a bunch to go over, so stick with us here. But I guess starting things off, Mike, Google had the biggest move out of all three of these stocks, and honestly, the earnings were pretty good, but as we can see here, the ad revenue was a pretty big disappointment, even though they had good earnings, which beat expectations, and revenue that beat expectations by a little bit too, and their cloud numbers were good. You can see that YouTube ad revenue just slightly lower, and then their overall ad revenue was a little bit underwhelming as well, and that's kind of why they're down. But man, Mike, these earnings did not seem too bad, but these stocks are starting to fall down.
Exactly, and that's kind of the scariest part. Like, it would be one thing if we saw these big tech stocks tanking down, maybe if they all missed on revenue or earnings or something like that, but like, to be realistic, like, their earnings, at least like from the first view, really aren't that bad, but the stocks are saying, screw you guys, we're selling off anyways. And I think that really goes to show that investors are, looking at the market right now and saying, dang, like, the stocks are at some pretty extended levels, and I'm gonna lock in some gains while I can. So again, I mean, pretty scarier than just if the stock had bad earnings to begin with, but so far sellers are coming in pretty hard.
Yeah, they are. And I mean, whenever you zoom out on like an hourly chart, Google in the grand scheme of things doesn't even seem down that much. Like, it fell from, above 150, 152 today down to 145, 143 in after hours. Realistically on the chart, it's still up quite a bit from like December levels, even from the beginning of the year. So Microsoft is another big player out there, and they actually had decent numbers too. If we go over to some of their numbers, they beat on EPS, they beat on revenue, and I'm pretty surprised to see them kind of down too. And they even had better growth with Azure, which is a pretty big thing that Microsoft's been doing with AI over the past, I guess, couple of years. But it's good to see them, doing well on the numbers side of things, Mike. But again, that stock is just doing nothing, and it's been all over the place. So maybe this one will actually end up opening up a little bit better. But as of now, it seems like it might be pushing $400.
Yeah. All right, Tom. Well, it's now time for the last one. What's going on with AMD, the stock that has gotten so much love over the past, 2 years especially?
Yeah, they actually had decent numbers too, and AMD's I would say is holding up so far better than the others. So they reported EPS of 0.77, right in line with estimates of 0.77, and the revenue came in at $6.2 billion versus an estimate of $6.13. There's a bunch of other good numbers with their guidance, which is above the analyst consensus as well. And going over to their stock, it is also slightly down though. It's been holding up a little bit better than the others, but honestly, kind of now it's starting to fall back. So all three of these tech stocks are kind of down in after hours, and while they're not necessarily tanking in all scenarios, it's very underwhelming, right? And this is going to really kill a lot of the options. Google might have some pretty good moves on the put options, obviously, with their good move, but man, AMD and Microsoft are just kind of stuck.
Yeah, so far the story with at least today's earnings is actual decent earnings, but falling stock prices, which again is more concerning than anything else, because as we head into the rest of the week, we have even more big companies set to report, like Apple, Amazon, Meta, Qualcomm, Boeing, and a couple other ones. So it's like, they kind of have some high expectations, and if they don't reach that high threshold, we might see the same thing with those stocks that we're seeing with today's three.
It's crazy, right? It's like the majority of the Mag 7 stocks reporting this week, and the market is starting to go crazy. We have the FOMC mixed in too, and Apple, Amazon, and Meta will definitely be big come Wednesday night into Thursday, and then Thursday night, obviously. But for tomorrow, Mike, we have Microsoft, AMD, and Alphabet all reporting tonight. Going over to some of these stocks, some of them are very overextended and at all-time highs, like Microsoft, for example. Even if we go over to a chart like Google, it was at all-time highs too, barely squeaking out to all-time highs. Now it's all the way back down to that 145 area. There might be some good opportunities to continue to trade these stocks down tomorrow. I'll say this, Google's down quite a bit, so that one might be a little tougher. But AMD, and then especially Microsoft, I think have a lot of room to go. Look at AMD still falling off in after hours here to like 166. I feel like if AMD can get under that low of after hours, like 161, that would be huge. We might see the floodgates start to open, and even a push down like to that area or lower tomorrow might be pretty good with that momentum. But the big thing is going to be following that momentum on these three stocks tomorrow. If you do decide to play, we really don't recommend playing earnings before they come out, but sometimes getting into those following moves and those continuation plays can end up paying a lot of dividends.
Yep, ride that momentum. And the same goes for all of the rest of the post-earnings stocks as well. But Tom, you hinted a little bit about the FOMC event tomorrow with Jerome Powell. Tell us more. What time is it? What do we have to pay attention for? And what's the story?
2 p.m. Eastern time is whenever we're getting the federal interest rate decision. It is going to be huge. They are expecting like a 96% chance of a pause. You can go look here on the numbers. Right now, it's 97.9% is what the market's pricing in. But the big thing for me isn't necessarily what they're looking at for this meeting. I'm curious what's going to happen with March. Are they going to talk about maybe holding the rate steady through March? Are they going to talk about the need to maybe cut sooner? I am extremely curious. I think that's going to be what the market looks for, so that it knows kind of, or, so that the market can kind of start pricing in what the Federal Reserve is thinking here, because everybody was thinking March. Now May's being priced in, so it just keeps flip-flopping lately. So we'll get a lot of insight on that. And then, of course, the man, the myth, the legend, Jerome Powell will speak 30 minutes after that at 2:30 p.m. So 2 p.m., 2:30 p.m., be ready. I will have it live on the Stocked Up Live YouTube channel. Check that out tomorrow. I'll have Powell side by side with the market.
There we go. And like you said, everyone kind of knows that they're just going to keep rates the same tomorrow. But everyone's kind of wondering, like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do in March, right? At the end of March. And originally, a bunch of people were expecting there to be a cut in March, but now it looks like there's actually like almost a 60% chance that they're just going to keep rates paused. So Jerome Powell has a way with words, and we'll see what type of magic he can do at tomorrow's event. But it will sure be important. So try and join the Stocked Up live stream at 2 p.m. Eastern tomorrow, and then 2:30 p.m. for the, Jerome Powell live stream speech. But, yeah, that'll be very important tomorrow. Jerome Powell has moved the markets a lot in the past, and he will tomorrow as well. But with that being said, Tom, let's get right into some setups and predictions for tomorrow. A stock I'm watching super closely right now is UPS. And this stock reported earnings, and basically they announced 12,000 layoffs. And then on top of that, they basically said that their package volume slipped a decent amount last quarter, and the stock fell like 8%. So I am looking for a continuation to the downside out of this one. I would love to see a break below 144.50, and if we do see a break below that level, I would like to ride the momentum even lower.
Yeah, that's a big level here on UPS. I like the news on them, and overall, Mike, there's been a lot of issues with them lately with the strike going on and everything. So maybe that ended up affecting things a little bit too. I'm not so sure, but hey, 12,000 jobs being cut—that's a big number. I'm definitely going to watch that support tomorrow. And talking about big supports, I'm looking at CLF tomorrow because man, they started bouncing off a pretty big level around $18 the past couple weeks, and they've been ripping. And today they ripped all the way up to $20. That was one hell of a move. If they can hold above 20 heading into tomorrow and we start to see good momentum at open, watch this one up. I like this. There's a lot of momentum, and you might be able to have a good risk reward with that stop loss just below 20.
Awesome. All right, another stock I'm watching pretty closely is GLD. And a lot of times during FOMC interest rate events, this one can have some pretty big moves. So GLD follows gold prices. It moved up a little bit today, but nothing too crazy, and it's been lingering so close to that like all-time high, and gold prices themselves have been doing that as well. But either way, I'm looking at GLD for a potential upside move tomorrow. I would like it to get back to like that 189 resistance, break above that, and then eventually break above like 189.75. But either way, with this one, we're looking for bullish, strong, consistent price action. And if we see that, that is where the opportunity will be.
Yeah, I really like GLD for tomorrow, especially with the meeting. There could be a ton of volatility coming in, and I'm even going to have my eyes on stuff like VXX, UVXY, and things like that. Especially with the way these earnings have been going here. Oh man, got to check back in on them real quick, Mike, in case they're down another 5%. Sometimes you look and then they're they ended up having another big move. But going into tomorrow, my second place, CCJ, they also had a pretty good day today, kind of like CLF. I noticed that a lot of these energy plays were moving. So if they can break above the high of day 48.20, I'm going to look for a continuation. And I even like the daily. They've been dipping down the past couple weeks, and they're starting to recover back up off that dip.
All right, sounds good. Well, it's now about that time for today's momentum plays. And with the first one, we have a bank stock, and bank stocks just led the show today. Seriously, Bank of America, Citigroup, JP Morgan, and a bunch of others had fantastic days. And with today's first one, we're looking at Bank of America to the upside.
Yeah, it had a pretty big day today. I mean, that is a great past couple weeks, and even today, one hell of a move. It consolidated a lot at the high of day, right around 34.90. I would say make it break 35 tomorrow.
All right, with the next one, we have a big tech stock that's slowing down a little bit, and that is Netflix to the downside.
Yeah, those earnings, this stock was exploding with the earnings. Now it's starting to fall back under that big 560 support, or at least consolidate there. So if it breaks 560, look at those puts.
All right, and then with the last one, we have TLT for both directions.
Yeah, with Powell, this is going to be a big one, and TLT starting to move up a little bit. We go out to US 10Y, and we can actually see on the daily that it's starting to come down here, so that's awesome to see. But looking at TLT for a day trade tomorrow, Mike, go ahead and make it break above $96, just above that high of day today. I have resistance right around there. If they end up pulling back under 95.40, then look at puts.
Perfect. So we have that downside level for puts, and we have the upside level for calls. That's for TLT. Don't forget about the downside level with Netflix, and then the upside level with Bank of America. These three stocks are only potential plays tomorrow if they break the levels Tom listed. If they don't break the levels and find a new setup, we're looking for consistent and powerful momentum and price action with these three stocks, and that is where the opportunity is. So keep them on close watch for tomorrow. But Tom, how can we not talk about today's $2.5 million big money trade of the day with CCL? So basically today, big money trader put, like I said, $2.5 million into the CCL 15 strike call options that expire on March 15th of 2024. Looking at CCL, these options are in the money and they have a decent amount of time to them. CCL has been running up quite a bit, like most stocks have since the beginning of November, but it has pulled back a decent amount since like the end of December. Basically, CCL has a it's in a decent trend right now, but if it wants like a realistic shot at running higher, it's going to have to hold this $15 support in the short term. And realistically, given the expiration, this thing will have to be closer to like 18, within the next couple weeks. Again, if it wants like a real shot at breaking out.
Yeah, I love this though, Mike. I mean, I like the dip, and I feel like lately there's been a few different stocks that have been dipping down the past few weeks here, creating some decent opportunities. CCL is one of them. I like that support a lot. That candle yesterday had a lot of bullish price action. So going into tomorrow, I think as long as we can stay above that $15 area, that'll be awesome here for this stock in the short term. One thing I'll say is there's a little bit of time. So, I'll say it's probably not a play that they're expecting just to go up tomorrow, but definitely give it a couple weeks. It's not too, far on the date on the expiration, but I will say that, you will probably have to give this one probably a month or so.
There we go. So keep some close eyes on this one going forward. A big money $2.5 million trade is definitely nothing to ignore. But Tom, we have a full schedule for tomorrow. Not only do we have to, I guess you could say, manage all of the crazy earnings from tonight, but we also have Jerome Powell back, and I feel like it's been a while since we've had an interest rate decision, but either way, it'll be very important. Lots of volatility is coming into the market tomorrow, and we're already starting to see some fireworks today, so it's definitely going to be a show tomorrow.
Yeah, it's going to be an awesome one. Let's go, Powell, guys. Hopefully he can put on his mask and cape. He's been pretty good in the past. I know that, obviously, though, he's just going to say his usual spiel, right? It's going to depend on the data, right? We're going to look at the data going forward. Hopefully he gives us a good indication, though, on those numbers for March. I think that'll be a very, very important topic to keep an eye on tomorrow. So watch out for that rate cut news. But, Mike, let's keep it steady here over the next few days. The market's starting to go crazy, and there's going to be some very fun opportunities. Don't forget to keep your eyes on VXX and gold. Those could be pretty good if the market starts to drop a little bit.
Absolutely. And make sure to get in on the action and come join us in the Stocked Up trading floor. Our sniper bot had a pretty solid alert today with some Apple put options, as it called out some Apple put options around an hour after the market opened. And basically the puts went from $367 all the way up to $485. And our SM bot did a fantastic job with the bank stocks, as its top call out of the day was a JP Morgan 175 strike call that popped up by 176% from when it started calling it out. So come join us, get in on the action, access all of our bots, chat with Tom and myself all day long, and even access the multi-million-dollar big money trades on the same day they're alerted, but before the market closes. It's going to be a great week with a lot of big moves in both directions. The link to join is the first link in the description in the comments down below. But besides that, thank you guys so much for watching, and let's make this week a great one.